Yeah, thank you very much. And today, let's start the OpenChain sbom study group, number 7. Okay, thank you for joining. And firstly, I'm not sure Shem has already mentioned. This is activities under the Linux Foundation. So I will show you the antitrust policy notice at first. And please follow this antitrust policy notice. And then please follow this code of conduct provided by the Linux Foundation also. Okay. And this is a recap of the previous meeting. And last time I shared the current challenges among Japan communities and discussed about some challenges we have. And thank you very much for the discussion last time. And today we will continue this challenge discussions, and I'd like to ask some thoughts on this from all of you. And this is today's topic. And as some of you may know, last week the OpenChain Telco Working Group released the updated version of the sbom guide. And today, Mark Chen-san kindly provide an overview of these modifications made to the guide. So I'm not sure. Mark-san, are you here? Okay, I find you. So Mark-san, could you introduce a brief introduction about the telco guide?
Hello, yes. So I already made a presentation of the guide in this group some time ago, and Kobato-san asked me to say a few words about the new version 1.1 that we published recently. So it's a minor update, but I'm happy to say a few words about it. So let me share my screen. Okay, so do you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. As a reminder, we had the first release 1.0 of the OpenChain telco guide approved in May last year, and we have put it into practice at Nokia. So we use this guide as a foundation for our sbom schema. So we will provide to our customers sboms that are compatible with this with the recommendation of the guide. And some of our internal tools already produce sboms that are compatible with the guide, and well, not all do so for the moment, but we plan to do so. And as it was already mentioned, we provide a validator to check the conformance of an sbom to the guide. That was one of the ideas of our work. It was to have a specification precise enough so that we can have an easy way to validate it. So something also quite new. We have worked with the company ScanOSS. They have told us that they would like to provide an output that is compliant with the guide. So after some meetings with them, they released their latest version a few days ago, version 1.20.5, and the output of ScanOSS is now compliant with the guide, which is good. Good news. So we at Nokia use quite a lot Yocto. So we have checked the Yocto output against the OpenChain telco guide, and we found two things that were systematically not compliant with the guide. One of the NTIA minimum requirements is to provide a hash for packages. So that's the way that NTIA recommends in order to check that the package has not been modified. And so in version 1.0 of the guide, we required the presence of the SPDX attribute package checksum. And so by checking the Yocto output, we realized that Yocto did provide a hash, but it did not provide it as a package checksum, but as a package verification code. So if you check the SPDX document, the package checksum is a global checksum calculated on the package. And on the other hand, the package verification code is calculated with an algorithm where you calculate a checksum of every file, and then you combine all these checksum and calculate the checksum on the set of checksum of every file. So that's a different way to do it, but it's also a valid way to provide the checksum of the package. And indeed, CISA provided recently the third edition of their framing software component transparency document, where you find in section 2.5 a table that maps some required fields to their SPDX 2, SPDX 3, and Cyclone DX implementation, and for the NTIA minimum element hash, they allow both the package checksum and the package verification code. So we will allow both. We allow both in the release 1.1 of the OpenChain telco guide. And as a minor but related thing, in version 1.0, we required the presence of the file analyzed element. I remember you that for a given package, files analyzed is a Boolean. It might be false. In that case, you provide information on the package, but not on the individual files that compose the package. And if it's true, you provide information on the individual files that compose the package. So in SPDX, this files analyzed can be omitted, and that is equivalent to providing it with the value true. So Yocto does analysis at the package level, and it used the default value of true. So we now in version 1.1 no longer require this the presence of files analyzed. So with these modifications, the Yocto output is mostly compatible. I don't say that it is fully compatible. In some cases, we found that the code produced by Yocto was invalid. In some cases, for instance, they deliver identifiers that are not syntactically valid. For instance, because in the identifier they have a plus sign, which is not allowed by SPDX, but that's rather minor. So we have filed issues for that. So in the version 1.1 of the guide, we have added one chapter at the end that lists precisely the differences between 1.0 and 1.1. So this is the first part of the differences. And the main difference is what I just explained. So now for the package hash, we allow both the package checksum and the package verification code. And we no longer make files analyzed mandatory. It's allowed to use the default value of true. Also, we downgraded the package hash to recommended instead of mandatory. It's still a very good thing to include it, but in some cases, like when the sbom contains proprietary code, it might be difficult to provide it. And the last thing on this slide, we had mandatory external ref. We use the external ref to put the package URL, the Perl of packages, and there was a small inconsistency in the sense that we recommended usage of the Perl, but we made the external ref mandatory, which makes no sense. If you don't provide the Perl, you don't have to put a mandatory external ref. So that was kind of a technical mistake. So now it's consistent. We recommend using the Perl to identify the package, and so the external ref is recommended also. Then there was some discussions on the mailing list and in the meetings about the CISA sbom types. So there is in SPDX2 no field that is there is no field for specifically for that purpose. So we use the creator command to put it. So one of the remarks was that in creator you have to put the CSI sbom type in the creator command, but of course you can put anything else you want in this creator command field as before. So this has been a bit clarified. So that is one point. Another thing is that in version 1.0, the only what we said was that you had to put one of the words design source, build, analyze, deployed, runtime in the field. But one remark was that it was not, it might not have been clear if you just put the keyword in the creator command. So now we still allow any syntax for this sbom type in the creator command, but we recommend to put it in with the words sbom type before the keyword. So it is still mandatory to provide the sbom type, but it's recommended to put it as sbom type colon and the keyword. And also the last comment about it was the possibility to put several sbom types for the same sbom. So that's mostly clarification and providing some examples on this. Two other modifications that are minor but to be complete, they are also listed in the history section of the document. There are several tools to merge sboms. One was mentioned in version 1.0, but since then there is a new one that is available, which is called sbom ASM. It's provided by the Interlink company and it's open source. So from the tests I made, it gives much better results than the other tools that I had tested. So I replaced the reference on sbom merging with this tool. And last thing, we have added in the reference list the new CISA document. So what was also important for us was the issue of compatibility. So what is the case is that if your sbom is compliant to the version 1.0 of the guide, it will automatically be compliant with version 1.1. As I explained, we have mostly relaxed some constraints to some fields that had that were mandatory in version 1.0 are now only recommended. If you are compatible with version 1.0, you are automatically compliant to version 1.1, and if you are not, it will be easier to be compliant with 1.1. And so, last slide, what are the next steps? So we will, in a few days, provide an updated version of the Python validator to be able to validate against version 1.1 instead of 1.0. And there will be also an important modification, an important improvement of the validator, unrelated to the change of the in the guide. In the next release, we will allow recursive validation of sboms. In these slides, I mentioned Yocto. If you get an sbom from Yocto, you will get many, perhaps more than 100 different SPDX files, and the SPDX files are related from the SPDX relationship elements. So if you check this Yocto output, you will have a main file called something image and a name, and so with the next release of the validator, you will be able to do OpenChain telco validator -- recursive, the name of the main file, and all files will be found and checked recursively. So that's for the work on the validator. And as we have worked with the ScanOSS team, we will continue to test the output of several tools that produce SPDX and check their compliance with the guide, and if needed, help make the output compliant. So it's almost obvious that it will be easier to do so with the open source tool, where we can, if needed, provide some guidance and even some patches than the commercial tools. Okay, so that was the end of my presentation. Okay, I checked there are some comments. Yes, so question from Yari. ScanOSS mentioned, but how about other SCA providers? As I just said, we have tested the output of other tools. Some tools are quite close, but not fully compliant. One tool that we use quite extensively is ScanCode. So there are minor non-compliances with scan code. For instance, they don't put, there is no way to put the name of the company that creates the sbom, which is one of the requirements, and also they don't provide the NTIA sbom type. So that's quite minor. We have filed tickets for this, but it's not yet implemented. There are Anthony made some comments. There are lots of sbom merge tools out there. That's what I said. So I've tested several tools, and the first tools I tested did not, well, at least at the time where I tested, did not provide even a valid SPDX as a result. So for when sbom ASM was provided, I was happy to test a new tool. You can check the issues, the closed issues in their GitHub website. I think I filed something like a dozen of issues, mostly with SPDX validity issues. But I was really impressed. They were quite reactive when I filed bugs. Some bugs were fixed in the next day or two. So at the end, they fixed all the bugs I had reported, and the result is now valid SPDX. Okay, yes, there aren't, in SPDX2, there are no specific fields to describe the sbom type, because the sbom type was created after SPDX2. Yes, that's what Anthony says. Very few SPDX sboms include sbom types. That's okay. So external ref is not mandatory. Well, it was not, well, it was not mandatory in 1.0 also. The problem is that an SPDX sbom might contain proprietary code for which no Perl is possible. But yes, it's recommended, so it's encouraged to put it for all open source components. There are validators on SPDX website. That's true. So the validator we provide, the OpenChain telco sbom validator we provided, is based. It's written in Python. So it's based on the Python tools that that are developed by the SPDX team. So what we do is that we first check that with the Python tools that the SPDX is valid, and then we check the additional constraints that are described in the telco guide. So, for instance, the presence of the sbom type and all other requirements we have in the documents. Yes, Anthony says that Yocto is moving to SPDX3. That's true. If I remember correctly, I don't remember if it was in an. There was a presentation of this. I don't remember if it was in an OpenChain presentation or it was in an SPX presentation, but yes, they are working on producing SPX3, but for the moment at Nokia we still use the SPX2 generator. Does someone know if Yocto is working on their SPDX and make them valid SPDX? We filed at Nokia. We filed some issues about it. As was just mentioned, they are moving to outputting SPX3 instead of SPX2, so I don't really know if they will fix the SPX2 issues. Okay. The NTIA guide didn't specify checksums. NTIA recommended, did not mandate, but recommended to provide a hash for packages. Okay, so thank you for all these questions. Back to you, Kubata-san.
Oh, thank you. And one more question coming from in the chat box from Hosomi-san. Hosomi-san, could you ask directly?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just wonder. So I think the creator comment or any other comment field can be put any type of the comments. So the if the if some time can be description of the type can be encapsulated. So there's such as the I wrote in the chat box. So so if the such type of the syntax there's we can provide so the the SVO type can be written in the any comment field in the SBOMs potentially. Also, what do you think of the such?
Yes, let me share again. Yes, so in the first version, in version 1.0 of the guide, we said you just have to put one of the words, just the keyword. So you could put, for instance, just creator command analyzed. Or you could put the word in a sentence, this SBOM was created during build phase. So it is in 1.1, it is still possible to just do that, but what we have changed in 1.1 is that, yes, we recommend to put something like this, to put sbom type, colon, and the keyword.
Yeah.
So that's the recommended way, but we didn't want to make it mandatory because that would mean that you would no longer have full compatibility. Because if we enforce, if we make this syntax mandatory, that would mean that sbom that would be compliant with 1.0 would not be compatible with 1.1. So yes, we still allow a flexible syntax, and we recommend a better syntax, which is what you have put in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah. So if the creator comment has only the sbom type description, so such recommended syntax is works well. But if the creator want to put to the other so the comments so how to describe the
Yes, you can put in the creator comment, you can put the sbom type, but you also it's a free text format, so you can put the sbom type, and you can use it on several lines. And put additional information you want to provide for the sbom.
Yeah. It's just machine readability issue. So thank you for the comment.
Yes, thank you, Hosumi-san and Mark. And Anthony has also questions in the chat box. Yes, creator comment is often used for other information.
Yeah. That was perhaps not clear in version 1.0. That is one of the points that were discussed on the mailing list. But as I just said, it's a free text field that can be put on multiple lines, and that can contain as much information as possible. So you can put the sbom type and also all other information you want to provide on the package, on the sbom.
Thank you very much. And can I ask one question?
Sure.
Yeah. And it's a similar question regarding to with Yari-san's questions. This guide not only covers the NTII minimum, but also includes several additional provisions, like such as create a comment and so on. And at present, it seems there aren't so many tools available that can meet these extra requirements. So, what is your plan for implementing this guide in the future? And now I learned, convinced many tool vendors, but are there any other plan to implementing this guide?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The background of this question is within the Japanese community, there has also been similar discussion. Like additional information might be required for each industry, but some concerns exist that the tools used by software suppliers may have difficulty fulfilling these requirements because in each industry has other different requirements. So how can we proceed to implementing like these additional requirements? So what do you think, or do you have any idea?
Yes, that's something we can discuss. So here at Nokia, we intend to provide to our customers SBOMs that are compliant with the guide. So as I said, our internal tools are producing SBOMs that are compliant, or will in sometimes do it. We still have to modify some of our tools that generate SPDX. And so we can say to our customers that we are following the OpenChain telco guide. That's perhaps the easiest part because we master it. But we also intend to require from our suppliers to provide SBOMs with the software we use compliant with the guide. So we plan to have this requirement in our contract. So that's well, perhaps it will be difficult to convince some providers, but that's the long-term goal. And yes, as I said, we discuss with some tool providers to see if they can provide compatible SBOMs. What has been much discussed in these groups is that there are now several sets of requirements for SBOMs. You have the minimum, the NTI minimum elements. In Germany, the BSI have created something. In India, they have also created recommendations. There will be also requirements coming from the European CRA and so on. So once things are moving, and yes, precisely in this group, we are here to discuss that. So question about file analyzed in version 1.1 of the guide. It's no longer mentioned.
Thanks.
You can use the default value of true without putting files analyzed.
And Anthony also mentioned in the chat box. Anthony, could you speak up?
Hello there. Yeah.
Hello.
I think I've mentioned this before. I think the SBOM type in the comments has been sort of. I see why you're doing it, and I think it's a bit of a. It's working with the standard, but I think most people have used file names. I've certainly seen file names being used. I was involved in a a study of different SBOMs with SEI and tail end of last year, and the way we highlighted which type of SBOM was just in the file name. So we had underscore source or underscore build, and that was really easy to filter, particularly as not everybody understands what the contents need to be. So that's my only comment. I think everything else you're doing is similar to what other people are doing. There's no consistency, which is a big challenge. I think we all recognise. And Cyclone DX 1.6 does have life cycle, which is very similar to what's been proposed. And SPDX 3 has the type. It's just that we're sort of a little bit behind with SPDX 2.3. Maybe, you know, things will work themselves out. So it's just a comment. And yeah, I have a library that generates SBOMs. It's very easy for me to add the SBOM type into the comment field. So you know, it'll just fall out, provided you specify the type when you are building the you know, using a library to build the SBOM.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mark-san, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
Just one brief comment. Naturally, I'm going to be reaching out to Marketon and the telco work group to publicize this fantastic release. And I'm also going to talk with ScanOSS about how we can communicate their work. It sounds like what's happened with telco is, you know, we had the initial guide, the proof of it, the people adopting it, and now this refinement. So it's like we've already gone quite a distance in the journey of looking at SBOM quality. So I just wanted to say it's fantastic work. And this presentation, this overview was very useful.
Yes, so the ScanOSS team will make a blog post about being compatible with the telco guide, but it's not out yet.
If you could introduce me to who's doing it, I'll synchronize with them and maybe we can do the marketing on the same day.
Okay, I will give you the contact.
That's super great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we have 10 minutes left. And Mark-san, thank you very much for your presentation. Much appreciated. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
I will send you the slides.
Thank you. Okay, and we have only 10 minutes left. And as the last, I have one open question. Today's great presentation, based on great presentation. To ensure this level of SBOM quality, is it helpful? I'd like to ask all of you, is it helpful to create new specification or guideline in other industry or industry neutral guidelines? Or can we rely on the existing guidelines or regulations? That is enough. We shouldn't create or create or build any regulations or specification. I'd like to ask all of your opinions. Are there anyone to of your thoughts? Okay. Yes, industry neutral specification is needed. Yes, I think so. Also,
We're at the early stages of SBOMs. Some industries are more advanced than others. You know, medical devices probably have got a level of maturity. But you know, if we look at what's going to happen in Europe with the CRA, I think that will be very interesting to see where we get to. I think we need a low bar initially before we start adding extra things. You know, let's just get an inventory of components. We haven't got that yet. You know, so let's try and get a consistent, you know, get good metadata about what a component is before we start adding extra features like, you know, links to repos, link to even checksums. Personally, I think I'm working with a company, and basically we just want an inventory. That's a big step forward for many companies. You know, a consistent inventory of the whole supply chain. So let's start slowly and move consistently.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I suppose.
Thank you. Thank you, Shane. Please go ahead.
Oh, right. Thank you, Kubota-san. I suppose one interesting question is whether we can take the energy we saw with Telco creating a guide and go to the high level of what is being accomplished. And let's say we choose the minimum possible to do license compliance is a valid business use case. Meeting NTIA requirements, valid business use case. Very soon, meeting the CRA requirements, and so on and so forth. So if we were to continue exploring SBOM quality and thinking of it from a multi-industry, I think that, to Anthony's point, we could focus on the minimal needed to accomplish various business objectives. And maybe the useful type of guide would be to understand how Telco did it, which we have done, and then look at a guide which would give examples of accomplishing certain business goals. This is what you need to ask from your suppliers for NTIA. This is what you need to ask for if you're doing minimal license compliance, and so on and so forth. And this isn't about an SBOM format, it's about what would be needed to be asked. Now with the NTIA, we're lucky that they just give a list, have this. And you know, with the CRA, I think we can probably expect the same. With license compliance, we do know as an industry what's the minimal viable needed. So perhaps if we went down this route, a guide to accomplishing business objectives, and then people could select multiple objectives, like I need NTIA, I need license, I need CRA. What do I ask my suppliers for? This list. And then, you know, they could choose their SBOM format. They might ask for that in SPDX, or they might ask for that in Cyclone. Not really our challenge to determine format, though we could give examples in different formats. So, yeah, that's what I think might be useful, because we can't really predict what every industry will want, but we can predict what regulations every industry may be subject to, and therefore we could quickly describe those in a guide. Does that make sense?
Yes, and Anthony has an opinion, I think.
I have lots of opinions, sorry.
Sorry.
Do we want an SBOM for each use case? So like an SBOM for license compliance probably doesn't need much information as a thing from an SBOM for vulnerability management. Or do you create an SBOM that covers both use cases, just as an example? Now, my personal view is I would like to have one point of truth that can be used for many use cases, rather than having different ones, because keeping track of multiple ones gets hard. So my view is you have the superset. However, I'm halfway writing a comment. Most companies just ask for an SBOM. They don't ask for an SBOM for a particular use case. So at the moment, we've still got education in terms of the consumers to make sure they ask for the SBOM with the right attributes.
Oh yes, no, absolutely. I don't disagree. I think that it's a case of if we look at what Telco's done, is they've essentially asked for, I don't know what it is, 14 or 16 things and said that's what we need for NTIA and license compliance. And if we went cross-industry, we might have variations in industries, or we might have, one company saying, I want license compliance and security, but I don't care about NTIA. I don't sell into America. So I completely agree. Strategically speaking, there should be one SBOM. And the challenge for us, I think, is probably that different industries will have a different idea, or even different companies would have a different idea of what's their one favorite SBOM. So if we do create a guide, it would probably have to be modular, so people could select the modules they need. For instance, when Japan has its SBOM regulation, very important for Japanese companies, not at all important for a Chinese company selling to China alone. So, I guess what we could do is explain the thing you need to ask for to accomplish goal A and accomplish goal B, and perhaps also say you should ask for all of these things at once if they're relevant. Stack the things that are relevant for you. And if we got that right, it should be possible for companies to very quickly see what is the list of things I need so I can accomplish business goal A, B, C in my industry. Different companies might still ask for different SBOMs, but it's probably natural that Sony might ask for a different SBOM to meet different requirements and regulations compared to QNAP in Taiwan, just because they have a different stuff going on.
Thank you for the discussion, but I'm sorry, I don't have more time for this meeting. I concluded and I needed to leave for next meeting. So I will summarize today's discussion and push it on the GitHub for the meeting memos. And I will send an email for this discussion. So please continue the discussion on the mail list. And thank you for today's journey attendance. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye bye. You too.